New Zealand authorities are investigating this Boeing 787 Dreamliner jet that dropped mid-air on Monday. The LATAM flight was en route from Sydney to Auckland when it suddenly lurched downward, slinging some unrestrained passengers out of their seats and smashing others into the cabin ceiling.
Plane just dropped really suddenly out of the blue. Everyone started screaming, crying. People were launched out of their seats. There was blood pouring from people's faces.
When the plane actually dropped suddenly, I saw a lady with a baby hit the ceiling. Everything was flowing and breakages. In the back was blood as well. So it was really full-on experience. Not good at all.
It's the latest in a series of incidents involving Boeing jets. In January, an Alaska Airlines plane door panel blew out mid-air. No serious injuries were reported, but it sparked an investigation that revealed that bolts were missing on the door plug of the aircraft and triggered a 19-day emergency grounding of all 737 MAX 9s. US regulators gave Boeing 90 days to come up with a plan addressing the quality control issues, but it's yet to navigate a path to recovery. Just last week, a 777 jetliner bound for Japan from San Francisco had to make an emergency landing after a wheel fell off shortly after takeoff. The incidents follow the two deadly crashes of its best-selling 737 MAX 8 planes in 2018 and 2019, which killed more than 300 people. Boeing's shares are down more than 25% since the start of the year. Investors were spooked further when whistleblower John Barnett, who had given evidence against the company's safety procedures, was found dead earlier this week. Major airlines have said Boeing's troubles are bleeding into their businesses as it deals with its mounting problems. Southwest Airlines has warned it will make a net loss in the first quarter of this year and that revenue for the full fiscal year will be lower than previously forecast, as it expects deliveries to fall 42% from previous estimates. United Airlines has also said deliveries will be behind this year and said it will be pausing hiring for 2 months. Meanwhile, Irish airline Ryanair is expecting a drop in annual passengers to just under 200 million from a previous goal of 205 million. It expects to receive only 40 of the 57 planes it originally ordered. The US Federal Aviation Administration has ordered the aircraft manufacturer to cap output of its best-selling 737, denying it vital cash flow while its European rival Airbus charges ahead with its A320 family. Airliners have urged Boeing to address the growing concerns around the safety of their products, as the crisis creates a massive bottleneck in the industry where there are only 2 main suppliers. It's uncertain just how much the crisis will cost the sector, but Boeing will have a long journey to recovery in the lead-up to the peak summer season. Tayyibe Aydin, TRT World.
Now let's bring in our aviation advisor, Fabrizio Poli. Thank you for being with us. Fabrizio, we've just heard how frightening, to say the least, was this latest experience on a LATAM flight. We've seen what happened with Alaska Airlines as well. First, what's happened to Boeing, first of all?
Well, I'd start by asking those that are watching a question. If you had your own airplane, wouldn't you want to hire the best people to fly it? Wouldn't you want to hire the best engineers and mechanics to look after it? And what's happening here with Boeing is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This new policy, which has been unraveled throughout the world right now, is bringing safety standards down, unfortunately. Instead of selecting the best people, they're selecting them using other criteria. And this, unfortunately, is the result. And we see the safety record of aviation in third world countries, for example, where pilots and mechanics and that are not selected. They don't select the best. People are selected with other criteria. And that's why 90% of accidents happen in that part of the world. This is now creeping into the Western world. And these type of incidents, we're going to see more and more of them, unfortunately, unless these policies change.
That's really interesting what you say about the DEI policy. We know that the head of the FAA said inspections of 737 MAX aircraft had shown that the quality system issues at Boeing were unacceptable and would require further scrutiny. What is Boeing going to do now to weather the crisis? Because the share price has already lost some 30%.
Well, during the inspection, they found a number of flaws, and these flaws have to be corrected. But, at the end of the day, procedures are important, but the people, and again, it's the people, the training these people are given, the standards to pass through the training. You can't just say, oh, we have to pass so many of this type of person and that type of person. No, this is the standard. OK, you have to get 90% on your test. And if you get 90%, great. And if you are part of the DEI group, you just need to make sure that you do a good job and that you improve your performance, you study, you know your stuff, and that you perform at your best. And that's what we expect in aviation. I mean, these airplanes go up in the sky, they transport people. If something goes wrong or some screws are missing, whatever, people can die. It's not like, a car on the ground where if something's wrong or your car's rattling, you can just stop on the side of the road and get out. You can't.
One last question on the aviation sector as a whole, because the sector has actually seen some serious growth post-pandemic. But all of this that we are seeing that's happening with Boeing, how is this going to impact the main airlines?
Well, the aviation sector was going to grow anyway, COVID or non-COVID. People are traveling more. So one of the challenges that we have in the aviation sector right now is attracting young people. And that's because there are a lot of other careers these days which are more competitive. They pay more. And, I've always said, pilots only just recently have received a pay rise. In some airlines, about 25%. But the pay for pilots has been the same for the last 30 years. And just until recently have they upped the pay for pilots and that. So I think the industry needs to sort of do things to attract young people, because the sector is going to grow because more people are traveling, more cargo is moving around the world because of the internet and that. And so it's important that this sector becomes attractive to young people, and then they come. And this is a great sector. I mean, working in aviation, I've worked in aviation all my life. It's a great sector. It's adventurous. It's interesting. You meet good people, and you travel around the world and that. And there's a lot going for the sector. But we have to select the people properly. And we have to select the best, but we also have to have a system in place to attract the best, which unfortunately hasn't been happening over the years because young people are gravitating towards other careers, and aviation isn't as fascinating as it used to be. So we really need to work on making this sector more fascinating.
Fabrizio Poli, thank you very much. It was great hearing all your insights on the sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludovica.